Concise history of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, chapter 4.2. Umar embraces Islam. It is combination of many interesting events. First event, a Muslim lady Layla was preparing her luggage in her home for the second migration to Habsha. Umar passed by her house and asked her, "What are these preparations for?" She replied, "It is because of your torturing us. You have made our lives just miserable." Umar took pity on her condition and said, "Is it that bad? I pray that Allah bless you wherever you go." Later, Layla described this event to her husband and said, "I saw some rays of mercy in the eyes of Umar." Her husband said, "Umar cannot embrace Islam before the donkeys of his father accept Islam." In other words, it is just impossible that Umar will ever embrace Islam. The second event. At night, Umar came to Haram and found the Prophet ﷺ reciting Surah Al-Haqqah. Umar hid himself behind the cover of Kaaba and gradually moved himself opposite to the Prophet ﷺ. He was highly impressed by the recitation of Quran and said in his mind, "These are indeed the words of a poet." The Prophet ﷺ recited Al-Haqqah, verse 41. وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تُؤْمِنُونَ. It is not the word of poet. Alas, you have very little belief in it. Then Umar said to himself, "Then it is the word of some soothsayer or foreteller." The Prophet ﷺ recited Al-Haqqah, verse 42. وَلَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ وَمَا بِقَوْلِ كَاهِنٍ قَلِيلًا مَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Nor it is the word of soothsayer or foreteller. Alas, you learn very little lesson from it. At this, Umar said to himself, "Then whose words are these?" The Prophet ﷺ recited Al-Haqqah, verse 43. تَنزِيلٌ مِّن رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. This Quran is the revelation sent down from the Creator of the universe. Then Umar said to himself, "He might have invented it." The Prophet recited verses 44 to 46 from this surah. And if he, Muhammad, had invented a false statement concerning us, we surely would have seized him by his right hand, or with power, with power. And then we certainly would have cut off his life artery. It was as if Allah is talking to Umar in an unseen manner through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar said, "After listening to this recitation of Quran, the Islam entered my heart first time. However, due to tribal and ancestral prejudices, I made up my mind to oppose Islam even more forcefully and violently." The third event. One day, Umar came out of his house with a naked sword in his hand, Nauzubillah, to kill the Prophet ﷺ. On the way, he came across Naim bin Abdullah, who was hiding his Islam. Naim asked, "Where are you heading to?" Umar said, "To kill the Prophet ﷺ." Naim said to him, to divert his attention, "You should take care of your own family. Your sister and brother-in-law have embraced Islam." This made Umar very furious and angry. He rushed to the home of his sister, Fatima. At the doorstep, he heard the recitation of Quran. He knocked at the door and then rushed in and asked, "What are you reciting?" They tried to ignore his question. Umar said, "I'm informed that both of you have accepted Islam." After this comment, he tried to hit his brother-in-law, Sa'id bin Zaid. His sister came in between and she was hit and injured and she started bleeding with the injury. After this, his sister said, "Do what you like. We will never leave this religion." The bleeding of his sister and her firm comment raised some pity in Umar's mind. Umar said, "Show me what you are reciting." His sister said, "You are not allowed to touch it unless you take a bath." Umar took a quick bath and then recited, "Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim." He said, "These are very sacred names." He then recited first 14 verses of Surah Taha. He said, "How noble and sublime is this speech." On hearing this, Khubab radiyallahu anhu, the teacher of Fatima and Sa'id, came out of hiding and said, "O Umar, by God, I heard the Prophet ﷺ imploring earnestly just last night about you." The Prophet said, "O Allah, strengthen Islam by Abu Hakam," that means Abu Jahl, or Umar bin Khattab. Khabab said, "I hope that Allah will bless you with his Prophet's dua." Umar asked Khabab to guide him to the Prophet so that he might accept Islam. As Umar arrived at the house where the Prophet was, the companions got scared to see a sword in his hand. Hamza said, "Let him come in. If he comes with a peaceful intention, then it is all right. But if not, we will kill him with his own sword." As Umar came in, the Prophet ﷺ seized and pulled his cloak and said, "What have you come for, Umar?" Umar said, "I have come to attest my faith in Allah and His Prophet and what he has brought from God." The Prophet ﷺ said, "Allahu Akbar," so loudly that the companions present in the house of Allah came to know that Umar has just accepted Islam. This is in Ibn Hisham. Umar was very courteous person. After embracing Islam, Umar went to the house of Abu Jahl and knocked at his door. Abu Jahl greeted his nephew. Then Umar said to him, "I am a Muslim now." On hearing that, Abu Jahl stamped the door on his face, saying, "Curse be on you and curse on what you have believed in." Then Umar went to Jamil bin Muammar, who was known for advertising the news in the community, and said, "I have become a Muslim." Jamil started shouting in the streets, "Umar has abandoned his religion." Umar said, "He is simply lying. I have become a Muslim." The disbelievers attacked the house of Umar in order to kill him. As bin Wail gave him the protection. This is in Bukhari. Umar said to the Prophet ﷺ, "Are we not on the truth even if we die or live?" The Prophet said, "Yes, indeed." Umar said, "Then why should we hide from the people? I swear by Allah, who has sent you with truth, we will definitely go out." Then Umar said, "We came out with the Prophet ﷺ in 2 rows. Hamza was the leader of 1 row and I was of the other. We were 40 people. The idolaters were hurt a lot on seeing this. The Prophet honored me that day with name Al-Faruq, one who distinguishes between the right and wrong. One who distinguishes between the right and wrong, Al-Faruq. Ibn Masud said, "We gained power, honor, and dignity from the day Umar embraced Islam." This is in Bukhari. We learn the following lesson from this story. Whenever someone embraces Islam, we should assign teacher for him and his teachings. We should assign teachers to him, and learning process and teaching learning process must not be stopped even during persecution and torture by the disbelievers. The Prophet ﷺ said, "There were some persons in the earlier communities. The angels talked to them, but none of them was a prophet or messenger. If there is any such person in my ummah, it is Umar." This is in Bukhari. The above 3 events clearly indicate that although Umar was very strict and harsh person, but there was pity and sympathy hidden in his heart. Hence, anybody who has some elements of true goodness in his or in her heart, Allah definitely guides such person to the truth. This logic also applies to Khalid bin Walid, Abu Sufyan, Amr bin al-As, and Ikramah bin Abu Jahl. This Sunnah of Allah is also true for the brothers of Yusuf and the owners of the garden in the Surah Al-Qalam. Allah did not destroy them and gradually guided them to the truth, since they had some elements of goodness deep in their hearts. Similarly, heart of the people of cave were filled with goodness and truth. Allah protected their lives and belief in a miraculous way. On the other hand, Qarun and Firaun did not have even iota of goodness, hence Allah totally destroyed them. We conclude that to have a seed of goodness in the heart is a big favor and blessing of Allah. Umar was born in 583 AD and died on 3rd November 644 AD and was buried in the Prophet's Masjid Medina. He was second caliph from 23rd August 634 till 3rd November 644 AD. Under Umar Caliphate, the caliphate expanded at an unprecedented rate, ruling the Sassanian Empire and more than 2/3 of Byzantine Empire. During his caliphate, it was the golden age for Muslims and non-Muslims, to say the least. Alhamdulillah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم.